Hey guys, welcome to Get Busy Watching. I'm your host, Honest Dan. Let's talk movies.
What can you tell us about the Lima project?
Its objective was to search for advanced extraterrestrial life. The ship disappeared approximately 16 years into the mission.
And the commander was?
He was my father, sir.
This might come as quite a shock to you. Your father was experimenting with a highly classified material that could threaten our entire solar system. We're counting on you to find out what's happening out there.
Directing and co-writing is James Gray, known for The Lost City of Zed. The cast includes Brad Pitt from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Deadpool 2, and Allied, Liv Tyler from Super and Incredible Hulk, Tommy Lee Jones from Mechanic Resurrection, Captain America, the First Avenger, and will be in the upcoming Wander, due out sometime this year. Ruth Negga from Warcraft, and Donald Sutherland from The Leisure Seeker. Man, I wish I had actual film equipment to make a parody out of this movie. Because I'd do a whole skit and everything just to hammer away my point. But as I'm limited on time, I can only talk about it. Ad Astra is not a good movie. It's very subpar. And a lot of it is trying to be Apocalypse Now in space with a little bit of The Martian and After Earth sprinkled on top of it. I'm not even kidding. It sounds like a very odd thing to combine, but that's exactly what this movie is. I mean, let's face it, what is Apocalypse Now? You have a crazy-ass colonel out there doing crazy, freaky shit, and they're sending in this guy to go find him and stop him, whatever he's doing. That's what Ad Astra is. Except it's Brad Pitt, whose dad goes off and does crazy shit, and now they want Brad Pitt to stop him. Except the problem here is that with Apocalypse Now, even though that it's a much longer movie, it constantly adds to the mystery of what exactly it is that Colonel Kurtz was doing. So the further along you get, the crazier things seem and all this other stuff. It's constantly throwing something new and intriguing your way. Ad Astra doesn't really do that. In fact, it's quite jumbled in its approach. One of the biggest consistent problems anyway, is that the performances are terrible. Very specifically from Brad Pitt. Now, maybe terrible is too strong a word, but follow me here. The problem is that the story does the After Earth thing where your primary character cannot show emotion. Yeah. For whatever reason, these astronauts need to be completely objective. 100%, their heart rates can't go up to a certain point. Otherwise, they're useless to the mission. Here's the problem with doing characters like that, though, especially if you're going the route of making them the only character that we follow. Without a support cast that can show emotion, all you really get is a dull performance from the main actor. Because if they don't look like they're invested in everything that's going on, from the danger to the drama, it's impossible for the audience to get invested too. Now, granted, they try to offset this problem by having voiceover narrations from Brad Pitt to kind of show what's really going on in his mind. Like, he'll be wandering through the space shuttle, and you'll have characters who will be like, "Hey man, you're such a hero, you're such a great guy," and Brad Pitt's going off, yep, I'm gonna be polite and do this, but in his head, he's really saying things like, "Dude, I'm just doing my job, please don't touch me," something like that. And it sounds funny the way I describe it, and it's trying to be funny the way that it's executed, but again, Brad Pitt, he doesn't deliver his lines in a funny way. Had he done that, maybe we would have had something here. Now, one can certainly argue that Brad Pitt's character does emote as the story progresses, but to be perfectly honest, those moments of emotional outburst kind of come out of nowhere and aren't really justified or properly built up to. So as a result, it just kind of just feels random. Another big problem that I had with the story was its attempt at world building. We're established to be in some kind of near future, even though it's not clear what that means. We establish that we have bases on the moon and Mars, yet on Earth, we're still driving cars with wheels on them. I don't know. Even if that is where our technology is going and that's how we peak, it's not that creative. Let's face it, we want to see hover cars. It's just, it feels like a lack of creativity went into what kind of future we're supposed to be in. But more than that, we also establish, oh, there's pirates on the moon. Yeah. And it's very unimpressive looking too. Like they're just in those bulky spacesuits that we see astronauts in the present day wearing. And they're like driving rovers. They have ray guns. It's just, oh my God. It's actually really ridiculous and kind of silly looking. But to make matters worse, to make matters even more pointless, these pirates that show up for this one scene, that's the only time we ever see them. It's supposed to be like there's a war for resources on the moon or whatever, but what's the point introducing this plot element if it's not going to be developed? If it's not going to be a recurring element within the story, why have it in the story at all? This is literally a scene to just get rid of every character that was supposed to come on Brad Pitt's journey. There's another scene where Brad Pitt gets another new crew. They come across this abandoned space vessel that sent out an SOS. Brad Pitt and the captain of his new crew, they go check it out. And we have almost a horror movie that suddenly plays. And we don't know where the crew is, what happened, big mystery. We find out it was evil space monkeys. Okay, they're not like aliens or anything. They're like lab experiment monkeys. They're like, baboons, whatever. And they killed everyone, but that's the funny thing. We never see the bodies of the crew that was originally in that space pod. It was just the captain of the new crew gets killed by a space monkey, and that's kind of it. This scene existed just so we could kill off another character. And there's a lot of scenes like that, where we have a character that you think is going to join Brad Pitt on his mission, but either they die or they just leave because, this is going to get me in trouble. And the more I describe it, the stupider this movie gets. You've probably gathered that maybe this movie is not particularly well written, and it's really not, but I want to dive into just exactly how bad it is. For one thing, there is a line that is a huge cliche that no good writer worth their mettle would ever use in their script. As you know. It's a very lame way of getting exposition out. If these are characters that already know, then why are we talking about it? The easiest way to solve this problem is to put a few characters in there that actually don't know. There's also a weird line that Brad Pitt has where he's looking around at the moon and he's all like, man, everything here is just, it's exactly like Earth. It's everything that everyone thinks they're running from. By coming to the moon, you're trading one Earth for another.
Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need.
And man, my father would have hated this. He would have torn it all down. Strange words, because it kind of sounds like Tommy Lee Jones is already doing that, because yeah, the whole plot is that he's experimenting with this thing. That's never explained really what it is. But he's creating these power outages that are affecting so many lives. And it sounds like he's already, tearing it all down. So it's just a weird sentence. And circling back to the space monkey scene, When the captain of this new crew dies, there's a new one that, takes command. And it's, for whatever reason, not Brad Pitt's character, who's a major, but the new guy proves that he's an incompetent leader. They arrive at the Mars base, and he doesn't know how to land the spacecraft at all. But for whatever reason, Brad Pitt says that he's not going to turn him in. He's not going to report him, and I'm just sitting there going, why? This is a character who is clearly incompetent in his position of authority and command. Whoever these people answer to need to know that he's not fit to command this vessel. They either need to replace him or they need someone to replace the old captain. Whatever the case, this guy making the decisions that he did could have gotten the entire crew killed. And that's exactly what he does later on. So, he should have called somebody. He should have told somebody about how dumb this was. Wow. There's even a random ass moment where Brad Pitt is just like shocked that he finds out, oh yeah, Command is just using me to talk to my father and get him to stop doing what he's doing. But I'm sitting here going, what? This is not news. They clearly told you this when you were signed up on this mission. Of course they're using you. He's your father. You're his son. How is this a big reveal, man? Oh, man. Oh.
Now I've got a headache.
And it's just so badly written. I am surprised I didn't laugh during this movie. Now, I'm not going to give everything away, but let's just say the rest of the film is all about coincidences. We meet a character who just happens to have information that nobody else knew about and tries to do this like Martian message about how the world is united, except they do it in a far less subtle and creative way. Because in The Martian, it's done in actually a really brilliant and heartfelt way. But in here, it's just like, let's throw in a message about how humanity's in this together. You know, we are alone in this universe, but we're not really alone, man. It's so ham-fisted, and it just doesn't work. The rest of the movie does not support whatever it is that it was trying to say. This is not a good movie. I will admit that if there are any good, positive elements that I can say, the visuals are striking. It's hard to do a space movie nowadays and not make it at least look good. So I give it credit. When you want to make something feel big, the movie does do that. It does give it a great sense of scale and a great sense of being in space and in total isolation. So I give it some credit in that regard. But, and I will admit, it is kind of nice seeing Natasha Lyonne be in this movie, despite the fact she's in it for like 5 seconds. Tommy Lee Jones is certainly trying his best to act like a crazed man. Beyond all that, I don't recommend this in theaters. It's not very good. I don't even recommend it as a rental, guys. I would say skip it. My honest rating for Ad Astra is a weak 3 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching it, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Hope to see you soon.